Okay, cool. So this is kind of my setup that I'm using mostly uh, in the past probably 2-3 weeks. Mostly using the Hydrasynth with the SP, but I use other things too. Like you can see the iPad Mini here. I'm using Scalar inside AUM. The cool thing about inside AUM is I can route it. So you'll see this plug is basically running the Hydrasynth, and so I have the input here and I'm just basically using Scalar. The output is also Hydrasynth so that I can just play the chords and use whatever chord progression I want right there. So instead of me playing it off the screen, I can play it here and then record it right into the SP, which is cool because now it makes everything work just like I'm on the computer. When I do it with the computer, it's the same process. So these are just some drums. I was starting the drums and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna just do the chords. So let's show you how I do the chords. You saw the setup basically, and I'm one of these people where I don't look at the thing and try to figure out what chord I'm playing. I just use the keys, find the chord. So I got my sound. I'm using this one from Mr. Card. He puts out some cool sounds. He has a pack called the Sweet, like tastes good, sweet, yeah. And I would have been cool though if he'd have called it the SUITE. But anyway, it is what it is. So this is one of his sounds, 34. Kind of like a Rhodes suitcase slash whatever else you want to call it. I don't really know. I did a little tweaking with the filters to get it to what sound exactly where I wanted it to be. Found the chords that I like to play with. Whatever. Found the chords that I like and I recorded that in, and this is what I got on the SP. Created a loop. Now, how did I make the loop? So the way I do my loop is I record in the sound, right? And the record, just record in with the metronome on so that I can hear the click. So I usually go in and I shift 11, which is tap tempo. And then I'll use the sub pad and just tap in my mind how I hear the chords playing or how I hear the track going. So then that gives me a good tempo, and I came up with 77. And then I recorded in, just record in, hit the record button, hit the pad you want. And I have it in wait mode for me because I prefer wait. And to get it in wait mode, you hit shift and you do count in, shift 10. So you can either have it in one bar count in, 2 bar count in, or you can have it wait till it hits a signal. And then I play it in how I want it to be played in or whatever, like you just heard. And then I hit loop so I can stop it when I want. But let's say I want to fix the tail end, because usually the end is where I'm chopping the most. Most of the time in the beginning, if you hit the start end here, it'll time it and get it right on. Or when you're in wait mode, it'll automatically start it right when you hears the signal. So that's good. So you rarely have to adjust the start point. But on the end point, you always have to adjust it. So this roll button, you can see it linked here. It'll start like the last little segment. And if you turn the loop on, you can kind of figure out where you want it to come out and go in. I've gotten to where I can see the transient in here. If you zoom in enough, you can kind of see where the transient hit. And I do the same method I use in Koala, where I play the first bar. So let's say this is my chords. See, I'll play that bar there, the start again, so that I know where it's going to loop. And then all I got to do is find that spot, set my end slot on that, and then truncate it, and boom, I got what I need. It's that simple. It's better. It's the same way I do it in Koala. Been doing it for years like that. It's the same way I do with this setup. No different. To me, Koala and the SP404, outside of the fact that it's more button mashing in here, have so much similarity. Koala's easier to use, but it has, and I'm not going to get into it because it has its strengths, it has its weaknesses too. Just like the SP has strengths and weaknesses too. They all do. I took this kick and another kick, and then I put it together and made this kick. And then it kind of, I'm going to normalize it. Perfect. So now it kind of comes up to that. Use one of them as a ghost kick. Then I like to go in. I pitch them down. One semitone. And I always go shift and adjust this vinyl thing to no vinyl. That way, when I can use the pitch versus using the other way where it slows the tempo of the sound down. And then later when I'm making the track, I'll come in and adjust the volumes on here. So let's grab a snare. Shift 14, which is import. Click import. It went quick this time because I've already done it in the initial one, so you don't have to wait for me to do that. Go into my drums. I'm pulling from actually Lifted Noise on YouTube. Check him out. His videos, he does some cool stuff. He has a little $7 pack, which you can grab. They're kind of dirty. So if you're looking for something that you don't have to add a bunch of stuff to me that's these. They already kind of got vinyl crackle in them. And I probably spend the most time sound. I'll put that one in. Sound selection. Take the gate off. Okay. Again, shift. I scroll over to no. Here, same principle. Scroll over to no. Off. No, off. And I'll definitely turn that down. It's very loud. This one's not so loud, so I'll crank it a little more because it's kind of... One tip that some people like, some people prefer fixed velocity on certain pads. If you see right here, it says C14. That's the last pad I clicked. And velocity is right next to it. If you hit shift here, while you're in this pitch and speed, you can lock this one into a fix. And the other ones will still be velocity. So let's say you want your... Oops, I didn't mean to hit exit. Hit that pad while you're in here. Hit shift 1. Now I might go in here and do this. Oops, release is too much. Sometimes if you put a little release on it, and then I don't like where this one's starting, I'm gonna start it a little bit like that. Hit remain here to zero crossing. I'll do that just to get rid of some of that tail. So there you go. So boom. I might go ahead and truncate that. Truncate that. All right, cool. So I kind of do that pitching thing in tonality. Obviously, I love tonality. But in Koala, I'll use the tone button to kind of turn the volumes up. Because some of these snares be like super high. Now you have an EQ, so you can get even more in depth in there. On here, you would either use the isolator, which has your low, medium gain, or you would go into here and you would go shift. I think it's right here. Yeah, equalizer. Shift, hold down this button and hit 15. And now you have an equalizer here. So if you want to hit remain there. So if you want to add some mids, zero them out. Take the bass out, put a little gain on it, whatever you want to do. You can do that and then just resample that, whatever you got, right? All right. I'm fine with that. Let's see, one more thing. Let me crank it. So I may not even use all of these sounds. I'm going to put these on fixed too. Let's do that. That extra bit that's in there, roll it off with the release. Okay, cool. So you don't have that other extra. So a little sound shaping of your drums can go a long way. That's what I do, at least. You don't have to do that. If you got sounds that you just love the way they sound right out the gate, that's cool. But a lot of times there's certain elements maybe where somebody did their own sounds. I might not like certain parts, but I like the sound enough to use it, right? So I'll do that. So the hats, I'll usually leave velocity. I'll usually leave those on velocity because it just sounds better. So you have some variation in the drum so they don't sound so stiff. Let me find the loaf. I'm trying to get back to lifted. It's called Lifted Up Vinyl Kits. I like that one. I'll use that one. That one's kind of like an open hi-hat. We'll use that one. All right. Gate, we got to turn the gate off of these. That one's still on. Okay, a lot of times I'll go pad link. We can take that one off. I mean, not link. I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong one. Sorry. I'll go pad mute. I'll go the mute groups. Put those in a mute group. And then I'll go in and adjust each one of these volumes. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I find it helpful though. Shift, same principle, turn it off here. Yep, then turn that one off. Now if I want to, not the speed, that's not what I want. Yep, and then I might go into shift here and adjust the release. Maybe a little bit. So they're cutting each other off right now. Get out of there. All right. If I don't like the drums, that's okay too. So I like this one. Don't care for that snare. Okay, so I'm just using this as a loop in order to build, right? So I'm gonna get rid of that one. I don't care for it. When I get rid of something, I usually move the other snare down. I'm gonna get rid of this one. For some reason, it didn't satisfy my desire for kick. There you go. All right. All All right, so then I might go in. You got to take the loop off if you're going to use it in a pattern because it'll mess it up. So just go take loop off, hit record here. I think this is 4 bars. To be honest with you, I should have checked that, but I didn't. All right, so I'll do that. I'll do remain or do the TR rec mode. I like my shuffle on 50. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. There you go. And then I'll punch in my first one, which is there. Exit out. And I feel like it's crazy loud. So I'm going to go back here. Turn it down a little bit. Okay. Hit that, go back in. It's still loud. So what I'm going to do is hit record over it. And I'm just going to turn the velocity here down to like 60. All right. That's pretty good. I'll leave it. Okay, cool. Okay, so go back into the pattern mode, hit record rec, same one. I usually stick with the same one. I don't see a reason to go anywhere else. Now I'm gonna put in the snare. I want the velocity at its highest point though. And I'm gonna put the snare on the 5 and the 13, which is common. Kicks on the 1. Hats. All right, I'm gonna do these at 20. See how that sounds? So that's my first row of hats. My second row of hats will be mixed of this one. And I'm gonna do them a little louder. Okay, then I'm gonna go in and do this one. Maybe that's a little loud. So that's why I put a lot of different hats. So if I want a TRX and I don't feel like drumming in hats, which I could go back and drum them in if I wanted to. But it's nice to have a variety of hats, right, to do that. And then you can sit there, and if you want to be real meticulous, or however you want to term that, you could sit and put each one in and tailor it to however you wanted to. I'm fine with that portion there. I'm trying to get a beat laid down to some degree to work with, to see how it fits my chords. If it doesn't fit my chords the way I played it, then what I'll do is chop the chords up and play them again. Either that or I'll go back in here and replay it again over the beat now. Because sometimes you start without a beat. If your timing isn't perfect, it'll be off. So I'll turn that off. Sweet 34. All right, so that's just me kind of jamming over it, just playing in the progression. By the way, if you wonder how I know the progression, part of it is just I studied it, but the other part of it is right here. So if you take that off, the blue notes are in that same progression that you played the chords from. So just borrow from it. So if you want to play, if you see here, it's the first note is C. Just follow it. That's an octave, right? So just take that across the board and find a melody where you want to. Within those. Now, the cool thing about using the audio stuff, and you can do this on a DAW too, because if they have MIDI capture, you can capture the MIDI portion of it. But in the SP, you have the skip back, right? And so if you play the skip back, I don't know why the gate's on, but if you play the skip back, now I'm going to lose that. That's fine with me because I can just go back and record it later when I want it. I kind of know. But if you were that kind of person where you didn't know and you felt like you needed some help with it, just get on your keyboard or whatever you have. And when you hit mark, it's going to play the notes for you. So use that to your advantage. I never was into the mark thing until I started really messing with like, oh, if I could play something. I started doing it with MIDI first, and then I was like, oh, this is really cool because it works great with MIDI. But then when you get on audio, I was like, oh, that'd be cool if it was audio and MIDI, and it works just fine. The problem is, though, because it's recording everything that's coming through, you have to deal with the fact that your track is playing in the background. So that can be a bummer. So the way my work around that is I don't use the mark for that kind of stuff. I'll do the resample in the pattern and then use the external in and just play my instrument through, which is how I record the bass too. And then that will capture on one of your pads that you select. It'll capture that. And then you could go back and chop it and use parts of it if you want to use it for the melody. So great options, tons of options, to be honest. When working with audio, obviously if you're in a DAW, you got MIDI and audio right there at your fingertips, so you could easily do that if you want to do that. Yeah, and so that's it. That's all I got today. And I am out. I just wanted to show you kind of that recording process using this, how I do my songs in here. Easy on drums, in my opinion. And if I want to get more intricate with drumming and sit there and drum it out, I could do that too. But I also have the ability to record. Each one of these, for me, in my opinion, becomes a track, right? So I might use my chords, put the bass, maybe the leads here, 2 leads, and then maybe do or melody or whatever you want to do. And then you have like other stuff you could add, like percussive instruments or whatever you want to add to it. And that's a good way for me. Personally, I'll start a track this way, and then I'll mix. I might even finish the track this way too. I've done a couple recently where I finished it all in here, but then I took it to the DAW to do the final arranging because I prefer to have where I can drop out and cut out parts as I want to. You could do it in here, but it could get kind of, it's a lot of work to do it. And I'd rather just do it in a DAW. I prefer seeing the waveform when I cut out parts, and being able to arrange is a little bit better in a DAW in my opinion. But now that we can stem out, we are in good hands, right? Just stem out your sounds. And if you record like I do, where I record everything separate like this anyway, you pretty much have the stems. All you have to do is send those loops out and then start building over the loops. So a lot of times I won't do the solo or the intro in here. I'll kind of do that in the DAW just because I want to have the freedom. But if I feel like doing it here, like I've done an intro recently in here where I just played, it was cool too. It worked. So it is what it is. All right, I'm out. Until the next one.